Hi, and welcome to a special audio failure edition of InstaVision. That's right, we've had technical difficulties, and I am displaying adaptability here with a cobbled-together cell phone headset audio rig. So please excuse me if my voice sounds scratchy and funny. It's probably an improvement anyway. Well, the holidays are here, and that means all the gyms are running commercials about how they can get you super fit in 15 seconds. That's mostly a lie, but we've got somebody here who tells the truth about working out and who knows a lot about it. That's Mark Rippetoe. He is the owner of the Wichita Falls Athletic Club, and he's the author of a whole bunch of books and articles on fitness and strength, including something I just got in the mail a little while ago, Starting Strength, 3rd edition. I was a big fan of the earlier editions, and this one's really good. Thanks for joining us, Mark.
Thanks for having me, Glenn. Appreciate the opportunity today.
Well, it's really great to have you here. And this is a book about pretty much sort of old-fashioned iron pumping. Now, I've got this shirt here from the old Encina gym at Stanford here. And on the back it says, I'm not real smart, but I can lift heavy things. And so only half of it's true. But you don't think much of these fancy new machines, do you? You kind of like the more traditional iron pumping approach.
Well, our approach is entirely based on barbell training. And barbell training is the easiest way to explain it because a lot of people are intimidated by it. What you see right there, Arnold doing is a squat. Now, Arnold's doing it wrong. We show you how to do it correctly. And done correctly, barbell training, the squat, for example, is nothing but weighted human movement, loaded, normal human movement. And the way the process simply works is we teach you how to do this loaded human movement correctly, where to put the bar on your back. Then we discover through a process of titration what your strength level is on that loaded human movement the first day. And then, oddly enough, we just make it a little bit heavier every time. Everybody sits down and gets up off the toilet just fine every morning, so everybody pretty much knows how to squat already. We just put a bar on your back.
I like that. Well, you have a lot of attention to biomechanics in the book, and it's interesting to me that a lot of your advice sort of matches my instincts. I mean, I've always had trainers tell me not to squat below parallel, for example, but I've always found that when I squat deeper, I actually feel better. My back causes me less trouble when I work at the computer. My knees are better, and my wife actually has had the same experience. So why do so many trainers want you to do half squats?
Because they don't know any better. The sad state of affairs in the exercise and fitness industry today is that the vast majority of people who are writing the rules, the people in tenured positions at universities, have never actually had a 600-pound bar on their back, gone down below parallel with it, and then come back up. And those of us that have actually used these very simple tools for a long time have actually discovered that below parallel squats are in fact good for the knees. For instance, I've been operating a commercial gym for almost 30 years now. In the 30 years of teaching everyone that comes in the door, tens of thousands of people over that period of time, the people we've trained in the gym and the people we work with at seminars, not one single knee injury has occurred as a result of below parallel squats. We don't have knee problems. And anybody that says otherwise is not speaking from a position of authority. As you found out, using the rebound at the bottom of the squat actually engages the hips and takes the load off the knees. The hips are an integral part of the squat. In fact, we teach the squat as a hips movement, not a knee and leg movement. And if you think about it like that, it's quite a safe, beneficial exercise, and it's the basis of any correctly designed strength training program. If you're not squatting, you might as well not be lifting weights.
And, you know, it's funny because I had a trainer working with me one time who was pushing me hard to stick my butt out, basically to do your form that you describe in the book on the squats, and stick my butt out. She said men are trained from the time they're boys not to stick their butt out because that's sort of for girls. But if you want to do a squat right, you got to not be afraid of sticking your butt out. And I think that was really good advice.
Well, it is good advice. And in fact, a version of that advice we actually incorporate into into our seminar material, because what we find is that most men, well, not most men, but a lot of men, a percentage of men in every one of our seminars, will display an inability to stick their butt out, to lock their lumbar spine into position. We never even check the women, because that is a normal female posture they learn when they're little girls. And I won't go into the socio-cultural aspects of that, but it's a normal female posture. And a lot of men have to actually be taught to squeeze their low back into a lumbar position that is mechanically efficient and safe for loading. And we incorporate that very thing into our seminar instruction.
So I actually put on my blog request for some questions from some of the readers. I'm just going to kind of go through a few of those. Here's somebody who writes, I'm wondering if Mark has any suggestions about maintaining what he calls intensity under the bar. I often have every intention of banging out 5 or 6 reps at a new weight level, but regardless of how small the weight increase might be, by the second or third rep, I often find myself rapidly revising the target downward under stress. Is there anything more than sheer bloody-mindedness required here?
One of the lessons of barbell training is that you can, in fact, do what you intend to do if you just make yourself do it. It's a learned follow-through of the will, and when you get to the third rep and you think to yourself, I'd rather not do these last 2, early in your training, I have to be standing there behind you, telling you that, in fact, not only can you, but you will. And then you'll do it, and then you learn. And that's a novice thing that we all have to come to grips with as we learn our own physical limitations. And that's one of the wonderful things about barbell training. It teaches you, it does more than just make your body strong. It makes your mind strong as well.
You know, I think that's absolutely right. And I think it's too bad the stereotype is otherwise. Now, here's Dr. William Basso. He's a 63. He's a doctor and says he was inspired by the second edition of Starting Strength to start weight training for the first time in his life about 6 months ago. And now he's got the new book, which he says he likes a lot better. But he says, since many middle-aged people read your blog, his question is there an age that's too old to begin strength training? And what modifications of the approaches described in your book would you suggest for older novice lifters?
Well, that's an interesting question. I have dealt with geriatric populations, old guys, in this gym since I opened it. No, everybody can deadlift. Not everybody can squat at first. And for that, we keep a leg press in here to get you up strong enough until you can squat, and then we leave the leg press in the dirt and go ahead and squat. In fact, 2 weekends ago at our seminar, we had a guy come in from Wisconsin, 78-year-old guy, drove all the way down here from Wisconsin by himself to attend a barbell seminar with a bunch of kids. And he was a good guy. George was his name, and George was having trouble using the full range of motion in the squat. And as we analyzed the situation, what we found is that George was perfectly capable of using the range of motion. He just wasn't strong enough to be confident in using the range of motion. So in a situation like that, if a guy is not strong enough to actually squat, we have to do something to get him strong first. So we'll deadlift and do the other exercises, and we'll do some leg presses through a full range of motion to strengthen the range of motion and get him strong enough to where he could do it. Now, think about the benefits to a 78-year-old guy who previously was not strong enough to squat all the way down and stand back up, and who 3 weeks later suddenly is. We do a lot of work with athletes, and we do a lot of work with people all through the different various ages of life. But the most satisfying job we do is taking older guys like that and handing them their physical capabilities back. And I think that's a very important part of this method of training, the fact that it is, in fact, accessible to an extremely wide range of the human population, if it's taught correctly.
I think that's right, and I think that's something that not enough people appreciate. And I'm glad that you're out there informing everybody and spreading the word, because I think it's very important. Thanks so much for taking the time to join us. The book, again, is Starting Strength, third edition, and you can also check out his website at startingstrength.com. There are even some forums where all kinds of questions get asked and answered and discussed. It's a great place, and I highly recommend the book. You'll know a lot if you read that book, a lot more than most of the people who you might hire as trainers at a lot of gyms. Well, that's all for this health and strength-filled edition of InstaVision. We'll be back next week, hopefully without this headset. Take care, and in the meantime, have fun on the Internet. Thanks.